Hello, otaku friends, welcome to our channel. Let us continue the story. We see a flashback of the time when Boss first brought Renee to Primordial Core. He tells Pedrick that, I saw her while I was resolving the Graphenia arson case, but I saw her again at the research lab. I thought it was fate, so I brought her with me. Looking at her, Pedrick says, so all the research on homunculi is contained in this tiny body. And he thinks, this place is overflowing with so much dark energy, it is called the underworld. Seeing as she is not trembling in fear, when she is in the strongest boss room, she must possess a strong mentality and physique. He asks Boss, what is his plan with this child? Boss tells him that, I am going to let her live here. I thought she had a lot of talents, so I am going to teach her how to fight, and, if she cannot fight, I will let her live comfortably. She has experience working as a maid, so maybe I can order her to cook. Pedrick starts panicking as he asks, Boss, are you serious? Who is going to teach her? Boss points at Pedrick. He does not want to do it. Boss tells him, why are you playing hard to get? You always tell me you are bored, because you do not have anything to do. Pedrick thinks, since she is a homunculus, her physical abilities must be great, and deep down, she should still have hatred toward humans subconsciously. And he asks about the name of this child. Boss is too lazy to still remember that. Pedrick says, Boss, since you brought her here, you should use this opportunity to give her a new name. After thinking about it, he says, should I call you Renee? Pedrick says, that sounds nice. As he turns back, Boss is already asleep. Pedrick turns to Renee and says, first, let us learn how to smile. Shaping it with his fingers. In the present, we see Pedrick yelling, what the hell did you do, and hasten for us to be able to feel the ground trembling here? Did you do a mad dance in the middle of the village? Boss replies, Pedrick, there are always exceptions to a monster's life. Pedrick points at the little girl Boss is holding, and asks, Boss, don't tell me you kidnapped a child. Boss replies, do you really think I would do a troublesome thing like that? Pedrick is annoyed and asks, where did Miss Renee go, and why did you bring this child here? Boss replies in a sad tone, Pedrick, about that, I met Renee at the human village. She looked tired. Maybe I might have been restricting her from living her life. Pedrick says, if you got turned down, you should have said that. Why are you beating around the bush? Then Boss tells him, fine, now you wear a maid costume and look after the dungeon. Pedrick pulls out his resignation letter, which he always keeps at hand. He asks Boss, so what are you going to do now? He replies, what do you mean, I am going to wait? I do not know when she will come back again. Pedrick starts walking away, and thinks it is best to leave him alone when he is like this. He will be depressed, and it will be tough, but it will get better as time passes. Pedrick stops in the way, and says, Boss, she is here, the person you have been waiting for. Renee comes out, and asks if Boss has eaten yet. She can prepare a meal right now if he wants. As Pedrick looks at her eye, he is shocked. Was he crazy enough to give her that, or was he sane enough to do that, or was he being sincere? We see a flashback of Boss telling Renee, your right eye is completely damaged. If you could see properly, would you have been able to differentiate them properly? If you still possess the feelings you had from before, bring me the Real Love Stone next time, as he gives Renee his eye. She is too happy to receive a gift like that. After that we see little Lymph waking up from the water dropping from the cave. She thinks about, where is this place, and what happened? She gets shocked, as she watches Pedrick sharpening his blade close to her. And she asks, I think I died. Are you a death god? Is this hell? Pedrick tells her, what are you talking about? This is Primordial Core. She realizes that this skeleton is not a death god, but Sir Pedrick. He stands up saying, I wonder how long will he be sleeping? As he kicks the Boss to wake him up. Boss says while yawning, I was sleeping so well, why are you doing this? As he sees, Lymph has woken up from her sleep. She starts kneeling, as she figures out that this must be Lord Devourer. As she was about to introduce herself, Boss says, you are Lymph Agria, Asmodeus bloodlines, 17th descendant. She is confused. how does he know about her, and says, I guess, Mr. Devd must have told you. She starts looking around for him, saying I remember giving final judgment to those humans, and collecting beheading Fong. Boss finally reveals the truth and says, I am Devd. As she processes this, she starts panicking, thinking about how she was misbehaving in front of Lord Devourer all this time. We see Pedrick asking with a cold gaze, Boss, the part where she said, final judgment to the humans, don't you have something to tell me? We see a forest in the border of Haston. A woman is picking up herbs, thinking, they told me not to go in, but nothing has happened, as I expected. She hears a sound, and as she turns around, there is an injured human there. She tries to find some herbs to help them. We see that it is Nifrim, and he attacks and eats her. He returns back to the capital in hiding. Dungeons are war zones. There are virtues you must follow in order to survive on the battlefield. One of those virtues is minimum tension. We see Renee shouting, silence is basic when you are in boss room. How many times do I have to tell you? Lymph does not want to follow that rule because she is a free dungeon monster. They both start fighting as Lymph wants to meet the boss, but Renee tells her that he is sleeping. Lymph turns into waifu form, saying, that is why you need me. Until boss sleeps peacefully, I will share my body warmth with him as I stick to his side. You are stingy in this regard, too old-fashioned, you are like an old man. Renee loses her cool after hearing that. She starts chasing Lymph, swinging her blades. They both are causing a mess in the dungeon. We see boss saying, they are so loud, I cannot even sleep. Pedrick says, are you in a position to say something like that when there is an uproar outside due to a certain someone? Boss asks if it is really that bad outside. Pedrick tells him, I know, you have not been looking at the newspapers I have been giving you. In order to strengthen capital's defense, troops were brought in excessively from all over the place. It is said that villages on the border are being devastated by monsters. Also, the Lord of Haston has committed suicide. Thanks to that, Haston is in a state of emergency. After 3 weeks of searching through all the human newspapers I could find, I only discovered 3 articles mentioning Haston. Do you know what this implies? Boss is ignorant about all this, so Pedrick gets pissed and yells, are you even thinking before speaking? I really am going to turn my letter of resignation in this time. Boss starts to panic and apologizes to him. Then we see Boss asking Pedrick what he thinks about this situation. He replies, I am not sure. Since there is not much information, there is not much I can be certain of. The best I can guess is that Haston has cut off all contact with outside world. Since you destroyed the village, you should remember how bad it was. Not hearing any news from a village that has suffered devastating damage is most definitely not a good thing. But the Primordial Core needs Haston. As long as we keep an eye out on Haston, we can tell when and how big of a raid force will be coming for us. That is why we have to get to Haston as soon as possible. I do not know what will happen if we delay any longer. Boss tells him to have a safe trip and not to overwork himself, as he thinks, please, don't ask me, I want to sleep more. Pedrick starts walking away. Boss feels relaxed, thinking, that was easy, I can take a nap now. Pedrick turns around and says, no matter how much I think about it, it would be too much for me to go alone. It would be good to have another person go with me. Boss looks around for someone whom he can throw this task at. As he looks at Lymph, he thinks she is a bit dangerous. If she was a type of magic, she would be explosion magic. If she uses the skill she used at the capital, there would be nothing left of Haston. Renee volunteers if she can go. Boss thinks, nope, no way. If Lymph is explosion magic, Renee would be giant explosion magic. Her not doing anything is her helping. Then we see Pedrick smiling and saying, since we do not know how long it will take, it would be best for the boss to come with me. Boss fell into his own trap. Now he cannot escape from this responsibility. Boss gets an idea and says, me going would be perfect, but what should I do? I broke that bracelet last time. I cannot polymorph anymore. Pedrick replies, you are right. You definitely won't be able to come with me without the bracelet. Boss starts smirking, thinking his plan worked, and now he can sleep peacefully. After that, we see him saying, "You really want die a peaceful death?" Pedrick replies, "You even went out of your way to curse me, but I apologize, as this body is already dead. You clearly said that you cannot go because of the bracelet." As we see another bracelet on his hand that Pedrick had kept for something like this. Now that he is wearing that, he cannot decline going out. We see them outside the gates of Hasten Village. They start roaming around, as Pedrick tells him about 4 simple methods to see how vibrant a human village is. The first one is to check how busy the market area is, which is totally empty here. The second is to check the chimneys of the houses, but it is too late past dinner time, we cannot check that anymore. Third, check how many mercenaries and raid forces are at the subjugation request center, but that has nothing to do with Hasten. The last one is to check the inns or bars. Boss is quick on his feet when it comes to places to rest. He enters a bar and asks for a place to stay. But they notice that the place is empty. This is really bad. This place is not functioning as a village at all. Somewhere around the village, we see lots of corpses. And someone raising them as zombies. It is a lich who wants to destroy the empire because it is at its weakest point due to previous incident with the boss. Inside the inn, Boss and Pedrick realize that the situation here is really bad. It seems that Hasten Village has been completely isolated. A voice comes from behind, asking, "Who is there?" When they turn around, it's the owner of the inn. He asks them the reason for coming here, as he tries to draw his weapon in fear. He suspects them for attackers, so Pedrick tells him he is a knight belonging to the Black Dog Suppression Force, and asks for some food and a place to rest. The owner apologizes for the misunderstanding, and tells them that he does not have any food to serve a knight. It is not just his place anywhere in this village, and it will be a hard time finding something to eat. Pedrick asks if this was because of the Black Disaster. The owner tells him, "If you know about that, I hope you understand the situation here. Currently, we do not have any rooms ready at the moment." Pedrick thinks that in a situation like this, the price of water must be exceeding that of an accommodation. He tosses a gold coin to the owner saying, "What about now, is it still not ready?" The owner changes his attitude and guides them to the room upstairs. As they were walking upstairs, owner asks about Boss, walking behind Pedrick. Pedrick replies, "This guy, he is my slave," and starts talking how good of a slave he is. They both can stay in the same room, so he asks, which room should they go for? Inside the room, Boss is happy about the condition of it. He jumps into the bed saying, "This is much better than the place we stayed in the capital." Boss asks Pedrick, "Did you really had to go with me being a slave?" Pedrick replies, "Of course, boss. You always wear those clothes because they are the most comfortable ones. If you walk around in those shabby clothes, you will be treated like a beggar. It is much better to be treated as a slave. If you look like a beggar, someone will pick a fight with you, but slaves are properties of their owners, so others cannot mess with them easily. It is perfect for you, since you can't even be bothered to change clothes, and you want to move as little as possible." Boss replies, "Of course, in my next life, I will definitely be reborn as a rock." Pedrick tells him to wait here and rest. He will be heading out to find some clues, as in the nighttime, most of the places will be easier to enter. As Pedrick stands on top of a building, he thinks the imperial family was ready to express their anger over this issue, but before that, Lord of Hasten, Count Etark, died. He is curious about who is in charge of Hasten now. It is clear that the imperial family, who had lost their chance, will direct their anger at the family of the Lord. With that in mind, could the blood of Count Etark inherited his title? And he decides to go look for the new lord of the village. As he tries to enter, he notices that the security is much tighter now. He could kill or knock them out, but it will create a mess later in the morning. He jumps out of the building because someplace has caught his attention. Most humans do not notice this, but there is a strong smell of death. in a place like this as he enters an underground area. We see the boss resting in his bed. Someone knocks on the door looking for the knight. It's the owner, telling him that he has prepared some food downstairs. As they start walking, the owner introduces himself as Novan Heataker. He tells him about the situation after the Black Disaster and how everything is in a mess. Because of that, the Lord of Haston committed suicide. Traffic in Haston has been cut off. Outside walls were littered with dead bodies of people who died from starvation. He tells boss they should leave this place as soon as possible, and I will be doing the same. We see someone enter the place with bruised body, battered clothes, and long red hairs.